everybody. It is the show. I'm excited to jump into it. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you so much to any veterans in the audience. We love and adore you. Your heroism is inspiring, and I'm glad we have a day to honor that. Now to something less exciting. Trump. I want to show you an interview clip where Trump seeks to defend, with much skepticism coming from Laura Ingraham, even being a Fox News host, his 50-year mortgage idea for buying homes, that being his solution to the American dream slipping away for a lot of people of buying a home. And this is actually causing a lot of turmoil between his aides, and one saying Trump's getting humiliated, the other who suggested it now, according to some of his fellow aides, getting pushed out of the administration. Chaos. But first, let me show you a little bit from ABC News to get a sense of why this could be not the best solution. 50-year mortgages.
Longer fixed-rate mortgage would lower monthly payments, but would also create a higher total cost because of all that interest over 5 decades. Take a $400,000 loan at 6% interest. Under a 30-year mortgage, the monthly payment would be just shy of $2,400. Under a 50-year loan, it drops to just over $2,100, a savings of nearly $300 a month. But over time, that savings is erased by a much larger interest bill, because while the total interest on a 30-year loan would be about $463,000, the interest on a 50-year loan would total more than $860,000. Many
So, as a housing expert, I can say the 50-year one is a lot more interest. That's what I can assess. Wowza is another term I've heard from experts to describe that being a solution in an environment where Trump doesn't seem to be proposing other more comprehensive or effective solutions to our housing problem. Now, this led to, like I said, turmoil within the administration. More than I would expect. Apparently, this guy, Bill Pulte, the Federal Housing Finance Agency director, went to Mar-a-Lago and had a little poster board for Trump and said, look, FDR, 30-year mortgage, you, 50-year mortgage. It was titled Great American Presidents or something. And Trump went, I love it, and just posted it. It was that simple. That's how he gets convinced of things. And that led to one of Trump's other staffers saying, the thing that became clear from this latest episode, if it wasn't already clear, is that Bill Pulte doesn't know the first effing thing about how the mortgage markets operate. After publicly humiliating the president with his moronic 50-year mortgage plan, it's safe to assume that his days are numbered. White House staffers were said to have been blindsided by this proposal, and the fallout has not been pretty. A lot of conservative allies, a lot of MAGAs have been going, huh? And so that clash is happening. Now Trump tries to defend it.
Housing costs are still out of reach. And
while you watch this interview clip, if you want to help get the word out about this show, and I don't know, help me one day get a mortgage, you can click the subscribe button. It is free, but it supports this show.
Another thing that your administration is trying to tackle, many Americans, the average age of first-time home buyers are now up to age 40, which is sad. The country you and I grew up in.
I inherited that. Look, you have to understand.
Right, but let me get to the question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you know, you go from 40 to 50 years. And what it means is 50, you pay something less from 30, that some people had a 40 and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates. And I have a lousy Fed person who's going to be gone in a few.
You can hear the deep and profound well of understanding. Well, it's 40 to 50. She's like, no, 30. He's like, 30, 40, 50. What's the difference? What's the difference? I mean, that comes from someone who couldn't possibly understand even what people are dealing with, obviously. Now, this is not the only rough idea he's trotted out there. He's now talking about Trump care instead of Obamacare.
On Obamacare, you raised several times during this shutdown debate that it's clear that this was never going to work without these massive subsidies. Now they wanted to continue the COVID subsidies. So given the fact that Obamacare really can't survive as they thought without these subsidies, what next?
Well, I watched Obama from when this thing came about. As you know, I opposed it very strongly. Unfortunately, we had a couple of negative votes, which should never have happened. But I said it's going to be a disaster, and I was exactly right. The premiums have gone up like rocket ships, and I'm not just talking about recently. I'm talking about for years they've been going up.
Actually, they slowed after the implementation. Still went up, but at a slower rate than before the implementation of the ACA.
And he said premiums will go down, everything will be wonderful. It's horrible health insurance at a very high price. And what I want, and probably what you're alluding to, is the fact that I want, instead of going to the insurance companies, I want the money to go into an account for people where the people buy their own health insurance. It's so good. The insurance will be better. It'll cost less. Everybody's going to be happy. They're going to feel like entrepreneurs. They're actually able to go out and negotiate their own health insurance. And they can use it only for that reason. That's the beauty, only for that purpose. And if we did that, that would be so exciting. Call it Trump care, call it whatever you want to call it, but anything but Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president.
So obviously, he has the talking point of not liking Obamacare. But were you convinced by that proposal and the specificity that he laid out in its implementation? I wasn't.
Not at all.
No, thank you. Wow, that was very loud in my ear. We've seen it before. His first administration, he tried his repeal and replace. It failed because it would have been a disaster. So even John McCain was like, oh, no, I can't vote for this. And now he's back to the same, it'll come one day. I'll have Trump care one day and it'll be epic. I think if there's any betting site that says, will he pass or will he not, put it on the will he not. I normally don't give betting advice, but put him on the will he not. He won't implement Trump care. Unless Dr. Oz has something to say about it.
So what would Trump care look like?
Well, these are all ideas that we're still working on, in part because until the government shutdown formally ends, we don't have all the people in the room who need to work on these programs, including actuaries and insurance experts.
So many ideas. 10 years in. So many ideas. Now, healthcare obviously was a big subject of the shutdown and Democrats wanting concessions. We went through yesterday how that concluded. And John Fetterman, being one of the senators who folded and got out of that process, got out of this whole shutdown negotiation, a promise that Republicans would bring up the ACA subsidy extensions for a vote in December. Not even now. It's not going to pass, but they'll let a vote happen in the Senate, but not necessarily the House. So nothing. And then some other little things about paying back pay, federal workers, unfiring, and that stuff's good. I'm happy that that was in there. But the big sticking point about this whole shutdown has been the healthcare, and for that, they got nothing. Except for that promise, and I won't even try to go through again because I botched it so bad yesterday. Analogies as to how we should not trust Republicans because of my personal life experiences. But you remember if you were there. You should have been there if you weren't. Here's John Fetterman, the Democratic senator, seeming more like a Republican senator lately, getting confronted on The View about this.
Well, Senator Bernie Sanders said the vote was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong.
Sunny is not so sunny today. That's what I can say, and I like it.
And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, MTG is
quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations, and a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states in those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things. And
yeah, I don't know, whatever. So, okay, whatever, John. Extremists, I hate the extremists too. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a crazy pants. I like that one. That's good. But the only reason you referenced her was saying so many people were acknowledging Republicans were being unreasonable in this battle, even an extremist, but also a bunch of non-extremists. And this is an example of extremism. This is Democrats also. This is what drives me crazy. And John does this a lot where he's like, well, we lost the last election. No, you didn't. You didn't. Newsom didn't. Democratic senators didn't. Yeah, we lost the presidency. That y'all don't have majorities. You still got elected, though, to do something. Republicans are already saying because of the election results, we will never push back against Trump. Why do Democrats also have to say that? I thought the whole point is that different people get elected in different parts of the country, and then there's checks and balances. You also have to fight when you believe in something. And why you don't fight for these healthcare concessions more powerfully, I don't know. We'll get back to, he referenced, he won't even say the name, the governor of California being Gavin Newsom. Because, of course, when he referenced why the election went the way that it did, a big headline has been young men, right? The young men went narrowly for Trump. And the Republican Party is trotting out some new young men ambassadors, including this Brylan Hollyhand, I think is the name, figure. And he was on the news saying this.
New York has gone from being the empire state to an empty state. I mean, the people, the businesses, the freedom are all running out of town. How did this happen? Well, the government kicked out God, and they made socialism the new religion.
They kicked out God? What? Just a few fun facts. GDP per capita. He goes to Auburn, I think. So in Alabama. GDP per capita. Alabama, 49K. Per capita, New York, 110K. Homicide rate, Alabama, 10 per 100,000. New York, around 4 per 100,000. So Alabama's homicide rate is more than double that of New York State's. GDP per capita, I already said that. Poverty rate's lower in New York State than Alabama. Also, New York State has had population growth, so it's not empty. But that's the caliber of him. Then I saw Nikki Haley's son, another young men ambassador, was on Fox News. And the lower third chyron was, why is Gen Z more conservative? Gen Z isn't buying the left's lies. Can we remember? Gen Z voted for Kamala. A majority of Gen Z voted for Kamala. Gen Z men narrowly went for Trump. They've invented this narrative. It's very strange. And then you have the Brylans and this guy's Nayland going on the news and saying it's because everyone loves Trump. But in reality, there are some hopeful signs in the young men category. There was a poll that showed Newsom, kind of a Democrat's Democrat. Like, he's very associated with the Democratic brand. Probably not even the best performer among young men. And he beats out in this poll J.D. Vance among young voters.
What the hell happened to J.D.?
I don't know. But he's not and I think it's because young men are vibing with the hand gestures. That's what I think.
But he iterates, he throws things out. We'll see how people react. Once a mind is stretched, it never goes back to original form. And that's my concern. The more we're talking about this, and we need to be. What he's doing with mass agents. Look what he's doing with the Rising Guard. Look what he's doing tonight in voter suppression. Look what he's doing with the
I think they get it. You know, they get. That's how a man's hands move. Okay, so he's California. You know how much rhetoric has been paid to the disaster of California? And he's beating out J.D. Vance, at least in that poll. Kind of interesting. Speaking of Newsom. Speaking of Newsom, look at this.
You told the group upstairs, your store, that you told the Democrats that you were rallying with, you have a store, you sell Trump knee pads. Trump knee pads for...
Signature Series.
Signature Series?
Yeah, sold out at the moment.
Sold out?
Yeah, well, because people have sold out, and because universities have been selling out, because law firms have been selling out, because corporate leaders have been selling out. People are selling out this country. I mean, we're seeing foreign leaders. I mean, what an embarrassment. Poor guy over in South Korea handing out this crown. I mean, it's embarrassing, genuflecting. It's just, so this is unbecoming from a global perspective, certainly from the prison.
Did you see that? I get, and I understand. Newsom's not everyone's preference. He has a lot of problems. I love, as a side note, I've referenced this before. I just responded to someone on Twitter was posting the clip of Newsom back when I think he was the mayor, and he had an affair with one of his staffers' wives or his staff, something like that. And a MAGA account was saying, "Can you believe this?" To which I say, yeah, that's bad. What about what? Who's your guy again? I know we want to hold our politicians. I do, to a high standard, even in personal life character. And there is a group of people named MAGA that doesn't get to talk about cheating, given who they picked. The headline I responded to the clip with was porn star Stormy Daniels says Trump cheated with me just months after having Barron with Melania. So that was just kind of a strange thing. But lob those criticisms for sure. And policy-wise, anything. Record. California, anything. And if you're not doing wordplay like that, you're going to lose to him. Did you hear it? His knee pads, because people are getting down their knees and like, Trump, their knee pads are sold out. And he said...
Many of them came numerous times. Everybody's coming.
They're sold out because people sold out.
Please come, President Trump. They're begging us to come.
What is happening on that soundboard?
I'm going to come.
How on earth do you... I'm just telling you, whoever else is running, we know Newsom is. If you can't get wordplay like that, they sold out because they sold out. If you can't get some of this going, I know you're not going to be advanced enough for this. I know that. That's fair. But you could do this. I get that this one's a little advanced. This one's a little bit advanced too. But you could do that. Then you're going to lose to him. I'm just warning you. Now, it will be hard to compete with some on the MAGA right in winning back young men when you have alpha males like Alex Jones and Russell Brand doing stuff like this.
Fight the power! Surrender to the Lord! Fight against the globalists! Infowars! Stay free! Stay free! Stay free! Oh my God! Listen, I started before you. I don't have to obey your system. I will ride you like a mule, Jones! I will ride you out of here!
Oh no, it's better than said.
Oh, that's consensual!
So that will be hard to compete with. I get it. Yes? Oh, I thought you had something to say, Jaden. But I think there's a chance. I think there's a shot.
I never sucked any ding-dongs.
Oh my gosh. We got to take away the keys to the soundboard from old Cole. No, that's brilliant. But point is, people are done. I'm declaring it dead. This fixation on culture war, nonsense. You know what people care about? How terrible Trump's policies have been in their lives. That's what's actually pushing the shift. Breaking news, it's not the hand gestures. And they're looking for an alternative. And the correct one needs to come forward. Please stand up, as some poet put it.